Do I need to grab mine? Hold on. No.
It's all good.
Right here.
We're here.
We have it. We reference the book.
Yes. All right. I think we're actually live.
Gorgeous.
Woohoo.
Oh, yep. I just got the notification.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. We are so excited to have you all here. Hello. All right. So I guess we could just start by introducing ourselves. Maybe give, I don't know, like a short review. I don't know. And a rating. What did we do last time? I don't even remember.
I think we just did rating last time.
Rating. There we go.
And if we reread it, but this one, we all read.
Yeah, this one's just first time reading. Unless anyone read it twice, which would be nuts.
I've seen some people that have already jumped into a reread, and I'm like, wow. like my brain can't
process this first one.
Yeah, like I don't think my brain could handle that. But so hi everyone, you are on my channel. I'm Rachel Reads and Sings. And I realized last night that I hit 3K subscribers. So I'm very, very excited about
Congratulations.
that. Thank you. And so I finished this last night, and I think you guys had finished this like days ago. But my brain, I think, is still broken from from finishing it. But I gave it 5 stars, so that's where we're at. Just no thoughts, just brokenness.
Just vibes. I'm Victoria. My channel is Victoria's Romance Reads. I finished it on the day after it came out. So not the day it came out, but like the 31st. And I did give it 5 stars as well. Yes.
I'm Jessica. I finished it the day it came out and gave it 5 stars.
Wow.
I'm Tori. My channel is No Life, and I finished it the day it came out, and I also gave it 5 stars.
I honestly cannot compute y'all reading it in one day. Like,
it was okay. So we took off work, like we weren't working, like we took the day off, but like I don't know. I had the audiobook going, and I was listening, and I was reading the ebook at the same time.
That's what I did too.
And there wasn't a part where you could just like put it down and be okay for a little bit. So like from page 1, like I couldn't stop reading. I had to know what happened. And then I was like halfway through the book. Then I'm like, oh, I'm like almost 70%. Like I can't stop now. It was very emotionally draining. It took me days to recover from that.
I probably would have finished it on the day it came out, but I had to put it down and do help with a family emergency. So I spent like a couple of hours not able to read. So I only had like a little baby chunk for the next day. It was like 100 pages for the next day, but I kind of am glad that I did that because I was able to like think about what was happening before those last 100 pages and like process a little bit. But
yeah,
I had to like really force myself to put it down and be like, I have to go help a family member. I'm like, you couldn't have had this emergency tomorrow.
Getting in the way of my reading.
Yeah.
Did you guys go out the morning and buy it in store? Did you wait for pre-orders to come or be online?
Bought the ebook. I wasn't going to, and I was going to go get the physical copy, but I had already pre-ordered the physical copy and I didn't want to have 2 physical copies, so I just got the ebook.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the ebook because the ebook was cheaper than I thought it was going to be. It was like $9.
Yeah, it was only $9. I was surprised.
And then I pre-ordered the audiobook as well. And then to make the ebook worth it, I read the prologue on release day. And then I just waited for like this copy came in, I think the 31st. Okay. So a day after release day. But
yeah, I pre-ordered, I used an Audible credit to get the audiobook, and I pre-ordered the ebook. And then I went to Barnes & Noble the day of release to get this copy. And I tried to order, I did get one from Walmart because it was when Jess, you said that your pre-order shipped early from Walmart. And I was like, let me see if I can hurry up and pre-order and maybe it'll ship early. Yeah, and then it came like absolutely destroyed. So
Mine too.
Yeah.
The initial ones they were sending out in those very thin mailers.
Yeah.
But then I had them send me a new copy because it literally did not move for a week. And it was in a nice box with lots of packaging. So
mine came literally in like, it looks like they took 2 pieces of cardboard, like old used cardboard, and like melded it together.
That's what mine first one came in.
I was like, what? And it slipped. So like the dust jacket slipped off, I guess, because they didn't put it like.
Mine too.
I was like, never again.
My dust jacket, the back of the dust jacket was like fully torn up the side.
Oh my, yeah. And I saw that Jen's was like that too. And mine came in packaging like that too. It was just like 2 pieces of cardboard put together. And so when I saw it on my doorstep, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was one of the lucky ones. So I'm counting my lucky stars. But like, yeah, that I will never again order from Walmart.
They ended up accidentally sending me 2 copies. So I just was able to return the one that was ripped. And then another one, I didn't even buy another one. Another one just showed up at my house like the next day.
Interesting.
So what I think happened is the same thing with Jess's, is that mine said that it shipped early, but then it didn't move for ages. And so I messaged them on chat and was like, hey, this hasn't moved. And they were like, oh, we'll look at it behind the scenes. They were like, we're not sure where it is. It might be lost. Yeah. And they said, give it a second, come back in 48 hours if it hasn't moved. And then they ended up sending me 2. So I guess they did issue a replacement. They never told me that they issued a replacement because it was lost, but they must have issued a replacement. And then the one that was lost also came. So I ended up getting 2, which was nice.
I got 2. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. I was so mad because at first I was like so ecstatic because Walmart sent me an email being like, it's shipped on like.
It was Tuesday.
Yeah, I thought it was going to come on release day.
Yeah, it said it was going to come to me like the 27th. And I was what? And then Jess was like, I got the same kind of email too. Like, don't get your basically.
The shipping places were wrong. Like Walmart said it was one location. FedEx was like, no, it's actually in a different state. And you're just like, Walmart, what are you doing? Like,
I had on my tracking for the one that was wrong said that it was delivered, but it was never delivered. It said it was delivered. And then if you go, like Walmart's tracking said it was delivered, but then if you go to the FedEx tracking, it said it was in Georgia. I was like, I don't live in Georgia. That's not delivered. What are you talking about? So Walmart is just a struggle, but I mean, I got my copy eventually.
Yeah, and I'm glad I got this copy because I adored the bonus scene when I read it last night. It was like the most wholesome thing ever.
The bonus scene.
But you can also find all of the bonus scenes. They're posted online.
Online,
which is great. But
I wish the bonus scenes were in the audiobook.
Me too.
It really bugs me that they're not.
It makes me very sad too. I'm like, oh dang it, I have to like read this.
I
can't just listen to it.
Aren't they? I haven't read any of the bonus scenes either, but aren't they short?
I think they're only like a couple of pages.
This one was maybe like 10 pages, I'd say at most.
Yeah. I read Lydia and Runes from my Walmart copy, but I haven't read the one in here yet. The Barnes & Noble one, which is just Bryson Hunt.
This one's
Asriel.
Nesta and Asriel.
From Walmart. The Walmart one is Asriel.
Maybe I read the other one.
Target is Lydia and Rune.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I read some of them online, so I was like, I can't remember which one I read.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we even start with this?
We want to say like what our favorite characters are of this book.
Ooh.
Like what because there was obviously it's like it reminds me of Throne of Glass where you follow a lot of the characters all the time, like switching POVs a lot. So we could start there. That would be a good one. Rachel, what's your favorite?
Ooh,
put you on the spot. Sorry.
I know. I'm like, dang, I have to think. I mean, I will always love Rune and Lydia. I mean, it was cool to see them like find their way back to each other. Because at the beginning of the book, he hates her, and then like there's a lot of shit going on with Lydia, and then she's got. By the way, this is spoilers. All the spoilers. I'm gonna.
If you haven't read this book, would leave.
Yeah, just throwing that out there. Like, there's a lot going on with Lydia. Like, she's got kids. What? Like, but I honestly still love them more than Bryce and Hunt. Just to say it.
Same. I'm in the same. Yeah. Rune and Lydia. I was telling Jess, was I telling you this? I think it was like Sarah J. Maas couples, like Aelin and Rowan top, and then Rune and Lydia right underneath it for me. Like
above Favorite and Reese.
Yes. 100% yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love Lydia. Just Lydia by herself. I mean, I love Rune. But Lydia would definitely over Rune be my favorite character in this book, whereas like Rune was my favorite character in CC2.
Yes.
But Lydia, top tier in this book. I love her relationship with Rune, but just her as her character, even when she wasn't with Rune, I was like, these scenes are the best.
She's like a badass.
She is.
I was not bored during a single one of her scenes.
Right.
Well, and the Throne of Glass connection, I know. For her.
With the kid's name.
Yeah.
Well, there were a lot of Throne of Glass connections
and the fire
in this.
Yeah.
But that was the most overt of like,
Yeah. Which is super interesting that she chose to do it with Lydia's character too. So I feel like she knew Lydia was gonna be
a fan favorite. How did you feel about the Rune shooting her at the end? Because that really surprised me there.
I thought it was dumb to do in the middle of a battle. I was like, you literally are also fighting people. Like, I got why he did it, but I was like, she literally now is going to be injured.
I was like, I understand where Sarah J. Maas is coming from, wanting the like main characters to be the ones that save the day. But why are you leaving some of your best like fighters just like behind? Between Lydia and like Rune shooting her, and then leaving Fury on the in Avalon, and then leaving Baxian in Avalon. I was like, you're leaving some of your top fighters who know this arena just like out of it. I was like, that was an interesting choice.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird because that was something I thought about like right as we were going back to Avalon and Baxian. I was like, wait, Baxian has been gone this whole time. Like,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Like one of them needed to stay behind to take care of Avalon and the people in Avalon and like make sure they're safe, but like they left like so many people behind. I'm like, wouldn't you want like everyone you can possibly get to fight these like big bads? But that was just an interesting.
Yeah, an interesting choice. Yeah.
I think she did it because she wanted Bryce to be the one that saves the day, though, and she didn't want to deal with too many POVs.
Well, I mean, Bryce was the only one who could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fight the Asteri, yes. Yeah. Everyone else was fair game.
But like fighting the like other people.
Yeah. But like Rune had to do that though, because she literally would have just like died for his kids. Herself. Yeah. And he's like, no, you're not making straight. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But the little scene between Rune and one of the sons where he like talk to him in his mind.
Oh, that
was so cute.
Listen, I've always said Daddy Rune, okay? And like maybe now it's like coming true. He's kind of like a little stepdad to these kids now, and I'm not mad about it.
I like that because he like had spent his whole life because of what's her name?
Oracle.
Yeah, the Oracle, because of what the Oracle said, he had like sort of put it out of his mind, the ability to even have kids. So I feel like now he's like, ooh, I might be into having somebody to take care of. So I
love them together. Oh my God.
Perfect.
Jess, did you say your favorite character or characters?
No, I loved Lydia and Rune the most. So I just think like they're just the fan favorite for a reason. I really like them. Yeah. And I mean, like, I still love Bryce and Hunt, but they were like not annoying in this book, but like they're gonna have their little like tiffs together because they're already such an established couple, because this is book 3 now. And I know people said that they were mad at, oh my God, what is her name? Bryce. I literally just could not remember her name. They were mad at Bryce for how she treated Hunt after Hunt was literally like in the dungeon after being there for however long he was before, and like so traumatized, and she's like, get over it, like I'm fighting with you now and all this other stuff. But I wasn't annoyed with him. I liked them together still. I think that they have just like an epic romance and I love them so much. So I was a little annoyed at people complaining about Bryce and Hunt together. But I'm just protective
I
of
feel
them.
like so many people complain about Bryce.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that don't like her. And I really, really like her. And I liked her in this book. I liked the way their dynamic is. And that like Hunt is this like big fighter, but he's been around for a long time. He's fought in wars before. He's tired. He doesn't want to fight in wars anymore. And I feel like Bryce is like, we have to do this. We have to be here. And she has a lot more like energy to fight them than Hunt does. And Hunt's like, well, I want to protect you.
He's failed twice. He's like, not once, but twice. Like, not again. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. It reminds me how people felt about Nesta and her book. It reminds me of how they feel about Bryce. Like some people hate her, some people really love her.
Some people really hate Nesta. I got some comments on my video about Nesta.
They still really hate Nesta. They still.
Really? I was talking. I had a video in my like wrap up where I had reread A Court of Silver Flames before reading this book, and I talked about how much I loved Nesta, and I got a couple of comments that were like, "Nesta is awful. I don't agree with you at all. Nesta has been so." I literally deleted a few of them because they're so mean.
But I've been saying this a lot. People are so hard on heroines. Like the heroes can be as rude as they want to, and push so many people away, make dumb decisions. But let's go after the heroines when they act that way.
Yeah, so. And then you come and then you look at this book and you're like Ethan, who can't make a good decision to save his life in this book. And I'm like, everyone's like, Ethan's so great. And I'm like, literally everything he does in this book is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about how Ethan's storyline in this book is comparable to Tharion's storyline in 2.
Exactly.
Like, let's talk about how they switched.
But also, every time we got Tharion's point of view in House of Flame and Shadow, I was like, I don't care.
I don't care.
Like, the way I feel about Ethan and Tharion is how I feel about Chaol's point of view. And if they're I just don't care. I really don't care. I'm like, I know it might be important later and I'll come back and reread, but right now I could care less what you're doing.
The problem is, coming back later, I have been thinking since I finished this book, if she makes another like spinoff of Crescent City, it's gonna the main character is gonna have to be someone we don't know, because I don't think any of the side characters in this book, other than Rune and Lydia, would have been able to hold their own as a main character.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot read an entire book about Tharion as the main character.
But she left him super wide open.
Yes,
like him and Ethan were the only ones left super wide open. You're like
Tharion and Ethan. And I'm like, I don't want a main character as Tharion and Ethan.
Yeah, like that's my only thing with this series is that like I feel like for the most part the characters just aren't as iconic in my mind as like Throne of Glass and Akatar. Like I don't know what it is, but like I don't have as many characters that I can like latch onto emotionally, you know?
Well, for me, a lot of them are dead.
Like, yes. Besides like Bryce, Hunt, Rune, and Lydia, like that's really like she wrapped up their story really well in Flame and Shadow.
Yeah.
So besides like Fury, we really don't know that much about Fury. She's kind of like the Azriel a little bit. Like I'm interested, but we also didn't get to see her in this book that much. So I don't know like where her story is gonna go. Like
but she's also not going to be a main character because she already has a romance with Juniper. So like they're not going to like have a main Fury as a main character where we're going to like find out more about her, I guess.
They compare her to
character later.
But they compare her to Amryn, and that makes they like look very similar. So that makes it feel like she left it open-ended.
Yeah.
To like maybe do something later, and maybe Juniper's not there, something happens, or maybe I don't know. Like I'm like, I don't know where you're gonna go with the next Crescent City book.
Yeah. Well, something I wanted to say just in general about like, first of all, I feel like all of Sarah's heroines have their haters.
Oh,
yes.
You know? Literally all of them. Like I see, like I follow this like Akatar shit posting page on Facebook, and like all of her heroines have their haters, which is that is a thing in like the romance genre that like people are so hard on heroines. If your heroine isn't perfect, then like people are going to hate them. But something I wanted to say about like Bryce and Hunt is like I was very attached to both their characters in book 1 the most.
Yes.
And I think it's because in that book, we really delved into their, like, especially Bryce's, like, mental health journey and healing and coping from, like, Danica's death and moving on from that. And also just, like, her, like, self-hatred and stuff like that. And so because we didn't get that as much in, like, books 2 and 3, I think that's why I wasn't as attached to the characters, to them, like Bryce and Hunt, you know?
I feel like because Bryce and Hunt have so much character romantic development in book 1, in book 2 and 3, they're kind of like an old married couple. They're like already together, they're established, like they still have this like epic love, but they're already together. We don't have that like exciting buildup of the romance. They're already just act like they're together because they are.
Yeah.
Like the banter is like a couple. There's not like a tension-filled, exciting building of the romance.
Yeah.
And something that Crystal brought up in our Sky and Breath discussion, and something that I've been thinking about a lot while reading this book, is that like I agree that like sometimes their romance feels too casual because of that's like their personalities. Like Bryce especially, like she's just, oh yeah, we're mates. It's just casual. It's just like, and so because of that, like when they're in trouble, like the stakes almost don't feel as high because it's like, I don't know, like they feel so casual, like when they're together. Like, yes, they have their serious moments and they tell each other that they love each other and like,
they somehow got married.
I feel like it's a very, what's the word? Like easy. So like all of other like Sarah J. Maas couples, all right, like Rune and Lydia, they're angsty as hell. Like they've been apart basically from book 2, and then like they went through in book 3 and all this stuff like that. Like we can go back to Reese and Feyre, they had their angsty moment of being apart and all this stuff like that. Even like some of the Throne of Glass characters, their romances are like they go through shit before they're actually like together. So I think this one just felt like easy. Like they decided they're together. There's nothing really tearing them apart except, Hunt being in the dungeon for X amount of time and then Bryce going to another literal world for like an X amount of time. But they were still kind of thinking about each other. Like I feel like Bryce had a moment when she was in Prithian that she was like, this is Hunt, my mate. And she showed the phone to Nesta and Azrael. And I thought that was like really sweet because she like felt that longing for him. And I think that's really the only emotion. But like, it's just it's just easy for them. It's easy to be like, yep, I choose you. Kind of like, we're together. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah, all of the drama is external outside their relationship in the book. Like in ACOTAR, there's a lot more like internal relationship problems.
Yeah. I mean, but it's nice to have variety. Like she's
trying
to do, so it's not like all like that. But Hunt did have that moment when he was like, what do you mean she didn't make it to hell? And he's like, where did Bryce go? And like that like turmoil in him. It just isn't like, and I don't think Hunt's that kind of person though, because he was burned in the past with his past romance. So he's not the someone to like have that epic love. I feel like that wouldn't fit his character or Bryce's, like I said.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
We don't have like I don't know about Throne of Glass, but at least in ACOTAR, Reese didn't have somebody that he like deeply loved romantically before Feyre. Like there was not ever like a mention of that.
Yeah.
But Hunt loved Shahar. He's been in a true loving relationship before. And so I feel like he like knows more about being in a relationship and he's able to have like learn from his relationship with that and like make this one more healthy for him. So I kind of liked that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That was insane how that came full circle.
Oh, with Shahar.
I got goosebumps while I was reading.
Oh,
no lie. I was like,
so I didn't understand like the little like one thing about this whole book, like it's just full circle for so many things and so many characters that they had like with like each person, right? Like we can go through each one. But for that, it kind of like shocked me because like when they were letting all of the wings down and that she put on the mask and like made them all like go under Isaiah's control and like they were gonna fight for them. I didn't like piece together. It didn't click in my head like what that meant. You know what I mean? That like Shahar, her wings were there, and that she could be one of these people. And so when they mentioned it when he's in the mech suit in the void, I was like, "Oh my god! Like this is really happening right now." It was just very cool. It was very very, very cool moment that I like pictured it like a movie in my head. It was so fucking cool.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, we were getting into like sci-fi movie territory. I was like, what are we doing?
Leaning sci-fi, but that definitely took it there. Yeah.
There were a couple of moments in this book where I literally was like out loud, like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I didn't expect. And one was going into this book, I had very different expectations. And I feel like a lot of people on TikTok, I've seen a lot of people talk about it. I got over it very quickly. And that's why I still gave it 5 stars. I feel like there are people that read it and had these big expectations for the crossover specifically that were like, it didn't live up to their expectations. But once I like decided what it actually was, I understood what was happening. And in this book, I was reading it, and then she left Prithian, and I was like, wow, she was only in Prithian for a little bit. That's interesting. And then when she like you think she's gonna open it into hell, and she opens it and she's like, hi Nesta, I freaked out. I was so excited, and it made me so happy to like get that moment and be like, oh, I guess we're done with the crossover. No, we're not. Here it is again.
I also felt the same way. I was like, oh wow, she wasn't there for very long. Like she was like, she did her shit, she messed up some shit, and she was like, peace out, I'm done. Like I got what I needed.
Especially because she left on bad terms, and I was like, oh no, we don't like each other.
Yes. And so when she opened it up again and Nesta's just like sitting in her chair, I was like, what the fuck? I was so is this really happening right now? I was very excited.
I was so excited. When she announced the crossover, or like mentioned the crossover where it was like, hi Reese my name's Reese and at the end of book 2, I pictured in my head this like big Avengers Endgame type of like moment of like all of them coming together.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I felt like this book was Crescent City. It was Crescent City 3. Yeah. It wasn't like ACOTAR. You could read this book without reading ACOTAR and still like it.
Yes.
Someone on TikTok made a really good point. They're like, because we think of one crossover like Marvel, right?
Yeah.
They took like 20 plus movies to get to their big crossovers. Exactly. Like we still need time with these characters before we can do something crazy connected like that.
Yeah. Plus, if we're going to do a big Avengers Endgame type moment, we need Throne of Glass characters. And we haven't had that like brought in yet as much. We've gotten like little Easter eggs, but no like actual meeting of the characters. So I feel like it's going to take at least, like you said, like multiple books to go forward to get that like big moment.
I think what goes into that too is I think it's very significant that Bryce then, of course, gave the mask back. She also gave back Truth Teller, and she gave them Gwydion, aka the Star Sword. Yeah. So I think going into the next like ACOTAR book, we could be building up to like maybe the Throne of Glass like crossover, and there's more. There's just more to do. There's more work to be done.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've watched a lot of people's vlogs that like they've posted, obviously. And a lot of people, I think it was oh my God, who said it? I forgot which vlog I was reading or what I was watching, but they said a lot of people just thought that this was going to merge, like this book was going to merge the ACOTAR world, but it's really just like I forgot what word they used, but like it was like a cameo, like you see these
exactly
they're needed for something, and that Sarah has left all these Easter eggs throughout this series. So I don't think there would be like a full merging for like multiple books. Like I would 10 plus books if that was either even something that she would like think of. But like honestly, why did we get more about Azriel and his background and how he is as a character in Crescent City 3 than we have in like all the ACOTAR books?
I really think it's leading up because Azriel's book is going to be next, and I
know it's just so funny that we got the most about him in not an ACOTAR book.
Right.
I saw a couple of people complain that they didn't see Reese and Feyre in this book. Like Feyre wasn't there at all. But I was like, she had her moment. She had the 3 ACOTAR books. I was excited to see like characters and like learn more about characters that we don't know a ton about, like Azriel and Nesta had her 1 book, but I liked that she was in this, especially because she was important, having like the mask and everything, and like bringing the like tie-in together with the like made by the Asteri kind of thing. So I kind of
Nesta and Azriel had to be involved in
because he had Truth Teller also.
Yeah, because of those like weapons and like the powers that like Nesta has, and the powers that Azrael has too, like, and how the shadow powers definitely connect to the shadow powers of this world, and the Throne of Glass world. You know, so it definitely made the most sense. The characters that we got, like, I personally think it was perfectly done. Like, I think this wouldn't have been a true Crescent City book if we would have had more.
Yeah.
And then had we had less, it wouldn't have been enough. So
the only, I would say, like, as a fan, would I have loved to see more of Reese, Feyre, and the baby? Absolutely. Like, absolutely. That's just because I'm a fan of them. You know what I mean? And I'd want to see them. But like, reading this book, it wouldn't have made sense to me.
Because again, like I said, you could read this book without reading ACOTAR.
Yes.
You could still they introduce the characters, you could understand what's going on, and then you can go back and read ACOTAR. But some people don't want to read ACOTAR. If they don't want to, that's fine.
The only character I wish was with them, but it doesn't make sense now that I know how the book turned out, was Amren. I wish that she was with Nesta before Azrael showed up, like, before, just because I know she knows so much, like, we all know. And I wish that, like, when they had those moments of, like, downtime, I feel like she could have lended so much knowledge to them. But then I feel like that'd be spoiling it, because she knows everything, and why would she give away all the secrets? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the same way I feel
the whole time.
I feel about Jessica and also the cat, Adis. They both knew everything the whole time. They could have sat Bryce down and been like, okay, here's the situation. This is all the things that are going on. But I don't think Bryce would have trusted them. She wouldn't have believed them. She wouldn't have been able to comprehend it and understand it. She needed to go on her own journey in order to find everything out on her own, and then be like, okay, you guys, let's chat.
Yeah.
Because once she already had, like, her own decision making and her own like way of thinking of it, otherwise she would have been so, I don't even know what the word that I'm thinking of is, but, like, influenced by their opinions of things and, like, how they felt about it.
Yeah, and I think it was, you know, written to be the way that it was on purpose, and you know, what characters were involved when. But also this comment,
so good. It made me so happy.
I was tearing up. When Ember said, "You'll find your way," to Nesta, and then she said, "I'm so glad I met you." Hey, Zay!
Yay!
Hello.
How are you?
Popped in. I'm all right. My hair appointment took a long time, but I was like, yay, they're still on.
Oh yeah. We're like just getting started.
Okay, good. Okay.
I feel like we're kind of all over the place, but to be fair, like, this is the kind of book where just, like,
you can't stick on
so
one.
much
Exactly. It was all over the place, so here we are.
Yeah.
I am intrigued though about Nesta's tattoo.
Yes.
And how that's connected, and how many people look like other people between the series, and why.
Yeah.
Like, they even mentioned in, like, the past that someone looked like someone's dad. I don't know if it was Bryce's stepdad or her real dad. I don't remember which one. But they're like, oh, this guy walked by and it looked like my dad. And then, like, what Amren and Fury look alike. And I'm just like, why do these people look so similar?
It looked like her father, the Autumn King.
Okay.
Not her stepdad, the human, but her father.
Okay, yeah. I didn't remember which one. Okay. But I'm like, are we gonna, like, because we know why Rune and Reese look alike. Like, they're related, but
which means that Bryce and Reese are related. Which just is like, I would love to be at that Thanksgiving dinner. That sounds great.
There's something else I was going to bring up. Oh, I forgot. There's just so much going on in my brain right now.
The dungeon?
The bite off his hand.
For no reason at all either.
I feel like that was, like, the one scene that Baxian was in also. It was like that scene, and then the Pegasus is at the end. And I was like, what a weird moment for Baxian.
I mean, I felt bad though, because,
like, not going into, like, Saw territory. Like, what are we doing? Like, this horror movie.
I mean, at least Hunt didn't have to do it. That's all I'll say. Like, Hunt's been traumatized enough in his life.
Oh my god, for sure.
Hunt was literally like, no, I'm
people talking about how there was no reason for it, but I think the reason for it was to make them both truly trust Baxian.
Yeah.
Because Baxian, they really were not fully on board with for a lot of the time, and them being in the dungeon, going through this whole thing, and him doing that so Hunt didn't have to, really made Hunt be like, okay, this is somebody I can trust. He's here with us. He's going to do this with us, and allowed Baxian to then be like part of their group more.
That makes sense.
That's a good point. Yeah.
True.
Because otherwise they really didn't like Baxian, and Hunt had so much of a past with Baxian of him being in Sandriel's Triari that him doing that for Hunt was like, okay.
I think it was kind of the same thing with Lydia, honestly, for Baxian and for Hunt. I mean, obviously Rune knew who she was, like once she realized it, like while he hated her, he still had that level of trust because of the day and night.
Yeah.
But I think like her having them escape, like getting them out, really helping them, and literally like being okay, you can go fly, get on the boat. I might die and it's fine. I think that was also like a turning point for Hunt and Baxian for her too.
Yeah.
So that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, because they did do horrible things, and Hunt witnessed them do horrible things in Sandriel's Triari, and he was with them for such a long time. So we really had to like dig deep to be able to like actually trust them. And
part of me would have loved a prequel. I don't know if she'll ever do that, but I would have loved like the Assassin's Blade, like a group of novellas of like actually what went down, because it's talked about, but we don't really get to see.
Yeah,
like I would love them to, like with Jessica, with Hunt and Shahar and the Triari, like all, I would want to see them then. That would be really cool to see, just as a fan of this.
Yeah,
series.
there's
like Lydia's whole situation with her sons and everything, and like getting like that backstory and like her like turning point there, because it would be really, really cool to see her actual like be in her mind of like her turning point of like, I need to start working for the rebels kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but would you want that over a brand new book? Because she takes so long, right?
I mean, I want both, but like I'll wait. It's kind of like it's fine. I'll get it. Like I'll wait.
Did you see her on TV, because she talked like she hasn't written the next book yet.
I know.
And I'm like, excuse me.
She made it seem like she's been writing the next ACOTAR book, but not the like book beyond that. Like, to me, it seemed like, oh, I'm working on the next ACOTAR book.
Okay. Like she's already working on it.
Yeah.
It better come out next year and not 2 years from now.
I don't know. I'm thinking 2025.
I'm hoping 2025. Yeah.
I hope so.
Considering how big these books have gotten. Like,
Well, didn't she completely trash this one and rewrite it?
Yes.
what?
Yeah. She said that in an interview, like I forgot when, but she had to completely trash this and completely rewrite it because she didn't like the way the first draft turned out. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
I would love to know what was going on in that first draft.
Right? Right.
So then who do you think that the next books are going to be about?
The next Crescent City books, or just
in
like
general?
In general?
Like,
I think
who would you like to see the future books follow? Who do you want to know more
I
about?
think the next ACOTAR book is going to be a blend of Azriel and Nesta, because, you know, the way that she
is
left
so
them.
invested still, yeah.
Yeah, I think that Nesta is going to have something to do with Azriel's story in a way that, like, helping, you know, just like how Cassian and Azriel helped Reese at some point.
Who do you think is going to be Azriel's love interest?
I have no
idea.
I was hoping it was someone from Crescent City. I was like, do that kind of crossover. He like,
yeah, that would be cool. But then one of them would have to leave their universe, and that's that's kind of hard.
That would have been so
but
good.
that actually would have been cool. Like I
At the end of this book.
I have no clear like person I'm rooting for him. I also want more for Lucian's character. I think that like he could have a POV in the next book.
I'm hoping we do. I honestly don't know who his mate, if he's gonna have a mate. Like, obviously, it could be Gwen, it could be Elaine. I don't know.
Who knows?
Rooting for not Elaine.
Yeah.
Anyone but Elaine.
I feel like Elaine gets a really bad rep, but I think that she is one of those like silent but like really powerful characters, and I'm really interested to like see inside of her mind.
I'm just like bored by her. I need her to be more interesting.
She bored me.
I feel bad. Like I feel like she's like the underdog. Like I want her to have this like more epic than Nesta, more epic than anyone, like epic story. Like she's gonna
My problem with Elaine is that people always get so angry at Nesta for not doing anything since she was an older sibling and making Feyre go out and do the hunting. But Elaine is older than Feyre too, and they never get mad at her for not doing anything.
I honestly,
It makes me mad.
I think the way Elaine has her like fear,
She's so like dainty.
I really think that she has a lot going on in her head, and she sees a lot all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why she seems boring, because she's so caught up in her head that the thought of like trying to like speak to everyone else, like that's just too much for her.
Yeah. Well, because Nesta lashed out and Elaine kind of withdrew.
Yeah,
when they went through that. So
yeah.
Something I saw, I think this was like the Today Show interview that Sarah did, is she was talking about like, okay, there's an ACOTAR book. There's definitely more to Crescent City. She also mentioned a book, and she said, it's in a world I don't even want to say. So I'm like, is this a Ninth Throne of Glass? Like, what are we talking about? Like,
I want to reread Throne of Glass, because I think while Kingdom of Ash really wrapped up like some of the characters, like this Crescent City book did.
Yes.
I know for sure there's some characters that are left open-ended, but because I read it so long ago, I don't remember which ones. Like, I can think of two, but I feel like there's more, and I'm like, okay, is this what she's talking about? She wants to revisit, especially because we got a lot of Throne of Glass hints in this book. So I'm like,
I think that there's going to be a Throne of Glass like spinoff. Probably will include some of the characters from the Throne of Glass series, but like other ones like won't be mentioned at all. They're like done with, or like not in it, but maybe mentioned. But I think it'll be like a same world but new characters kind of thing.
Yeah, apparently she's been teasing for years that she's been maybe at least wanting to write a book that took place like 10 years after Kingdom of Ash.
She talked about wanting to return to writing to the Throne of Glass.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something to think about. But I've also heard that there's a series that she's been thinking about, like called Twilight of the Gods. I don't know anything about this. I don't know if there is anything out there about this, but I've heard that there's like a Pinterest board that she has for this series. So I don't know.
It used to be public before she blew up, and then she hid the board so people know it's a thing, but nobody can find it anymore because she made it private.
I know she just got contracted for like 4 more books from her publisher.
She's gonna write.
Didn't say like what books they are.
I think she has 7 total with Bloomsbury. I think
she does.
So but not connected to any specific series, right? Just like
it's
one of them is ACOTAR 5, and then one of them I think she said is in the Crescent City world for sure, but the other ones we don't know.
I mean, if they're a smart publishing house, they would just give her free reign. Like, hey, we're going to contract you for these 7 books. One is this, one is that. The rest you can just come up with yourself, and we'll go with it.
I don't know, because she wrote that Catwoman book.
Hey, I liked that book.
Okay, we'll just say that Rachel here is a true fan.
She's read the Catwoman.
Read that, okay?
Oh wow.
I have no desire.
It was okay. Like, it's just fun. It's fun. That's all I'll say.
No, thank you.
That's wasted writing time. Like, come on.
Yes, exactly. I don't want her to waste her time on that. I want her to keep doing this. Please.
There was something else I was going to say. Oh, I'm so annoyed.
But I wonder, is it clear the timelines of Throne of Glass versus this series? Do we know?
No.
Okay.
I keep flip-flopping. Like, I'm posting a vlog of this in a couple of days. I need to start editing it. And in that vlog, I just keep flip-flopping between, like, is Throne of Glass, like, 15,000 years ago plus? Like, I don't know. Or is it the same timeline, or, like, what? Like, we just, like, don't. It could be either, or because I keep, like, flip-flopping about what's the timeline between, like, Throne of Glass and when those Fae came to Midgard.
Yes.
Like, that's what I'm, like, trying to make sense of.
Because Lydia mentions Brannon, the name of her son. There's also something with her ring, is the same ring people think that Rowan has. So I'm like, that makes me think of, like, she is, like, the lineage?
Yeah, descendant.
She's a descendant she absolutely is a descendant of Aelin.
Because I remember, I think Jess, I told you this, I was like, she looks like Aelin. Like, I just get the vibe, like, when she was first described, I was like, she really looks like it. Also, I don't know if I'm just really stupid, but the hind, I didn't realize that means she, like, shifts into a deer.
Yes.
I didn't know either. I didn't know that. Yeah, I was like, what? What's a
So
hind?
when she shifted, I was like, holy fuck, she's a deer. I was like, oh my god. I was like, because of like the stags from Throne of Glass, and I was like, what the fuck? In my head, I'm like, maybe I'm stupid and I never caught this, but like this was like a full like, oh my god moment for me that I'm embarrassed to say that I had, because I did not know she was a deer.
I'm glad that there was like so much more to her character in terms of that, like too, in terms of the connection to like her descendants, her lineage, yeah, and her power. Like
she's got so much going on because like her father was this like really amazing, like powerful shifter. Her mom is the witch queen. Like she's got a lot of power happening with her.
Yeah.
Wait, they said her mom was a witch queen?
Her mom, she's Hypaxia's
sister.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
So her mom is the former witch.
She just didn't have witch powers. She had the shifter powers. Yeah.
That makes me think that like Hypaxia and like their lineage.
Well, there's connections.
So that's what I mean. Is like, is her mom a descendant of Aelin, or is her dad a descendant of Aelin?
Yeah,
that's what I.
It would be the dad, though, right? Because
the dad.
Yeah,
it would be the dad. So then, does the fire power come from the shifter instead of the witches? Because I was thinking the fire was like part of the witch line, but is the fire part of the shifter line?
Because that's why she went to live with the dad, because she only had the dad's powers. Like if she had been a witch, she would have stayed with the mom. They had said like,
gotcha,
whoever's powers, but I don't know how
the fire has to come from the shifter line because of where the shifters and the fire comes from. It all comes from, you know, that side. So
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's cool. And like Ethan with his like ice powers, I thought that was cool.
Well, it was really cool when everyone started getting powers because they didn't know that they had like
that was so cool.
That was really cool.
Okay, potential. Because I thought for the longest time, like over the years, they've been like diluted.
Yeah, for sure.
Through the, like, you know, as time passed. So, because that's why I thought for sure I was like 100% at one point, like, oh, Akatar was 15,000 years ago. Like that's where that came from. But it's at the same time now. So I thought that was cool that we have that now. Like, okay, cool. It's at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and now that I'm just thinking about it, there's a specific character in Throne of Glass that has ice powers. Like that just came to me. I was like, wait.
Ethan could be a part of it.
So like Ethan, well, and we know that the shifters have to be from the Throne of Glass world.
Yeah. And that they're Fae.
Like word was mentioned, WYRD, and I think that's definitely a nod. And then I keep on like screenshotting parts of my book to Tori that like relate to Crescent City as I'm reading Throne of Glass, just of the magic and like the portals. Like, literally, this is exactly how Crescent City works.
Yes,
like, it is the same magic. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had already made connections like when I was rereading it the second time. I was like, I've only read a couple books in the Throne of Glass series, but I already see the connections.
Right?
I've only read two.
It's crazy. Yeah, but only in the first two books you have so much. There's so much. So much going on, and also with like the markings, like because there's markings, and then Amren's like, oh, those are from the Book of Breathings, and then like the scene with the Underking, he's talking about this statue of Erd with those symbols, and then he uses the word WYRD to describe Erd. It's very interesting.
And the symbols on Bryce's back, like the language that they wrote the horn in.
So that has to be like like it
all. But they recognized it, and like Reese did.
Yeah, Reese and Amren both recognized it.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Making all those connections.
We haven't brought up the fire sprites though, and like the fire sprite queen.
I'm obsessed with the fire sprite.
I love that.
I love her so much. She's so badass. I love the 3 fire sprites from the ring latched on to Declan and the other one. That was funny. But they're okay. I want to know more about the dragon. Why was she at all?
Yeah, she wasn't in this book like at all. Yeah, right.
Maybe the next one will be about her.
Who knows?
I'm also trying to like piece together like where the dragons like would have came from, because like no other dragon was mentioned besides her.
Yeah.
Well, because they killed them all, right? Because their fire can kill the hell princes, so they like slowly took them out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just like they took out the Starborn people.
Yeah, and the Thunderbirds.
Yeah. Oh my god, I lost it though. That's when I
The
started crying.
crying.
When it was
This
everybody
is when
there
I
in
was
the hot tub.
crying. This
Connor?
was
The crying. Oh, the
my
part that I
God.
started crying at was when they, well, yes, while she was that, but then when they're all like holding open the black hole and like everyone joins in, lost it.
That was good.
For sure.
Wow.
And like it is full circle where it's like my friends are
My
behind
friends
me or
are
My
whatever.
friends are with me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They really
Yeah.
were.
That was a good connection.
Oh, that was so
The
good.
friendship in this, like, people can talk about like not loving the relationship between Bryce and Hunt, but the friendship love in this book is so pure and strong. This is like a full like friend power.
Yes.
I love that.
The power.
Like, I love the friend group in ACOTAR, but like this one,
love the
that one
dead
doesn't make me
friend
cry like this one does.
But I think I saw some people complain that there weren't enough people dying in the book.
I'm okay with that.
But like they all died in book one. Like we had enough grief in the first book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people feel like the stakes weren't high enough.
The book literally starts
which I think is an interesting take.
Yeah.
Like it was too easy for them to.
What I will say is I'm still surprised that like I really thought the conflict with the Asteri would not end in this book.
Yeah.
I
really thought, because that is the big conflict of this world. Like you can't tell me there's a bigger conflict that's going to come. Like how is there a bigger conflict than the Asteri, right? And so when that concluded, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
I agree.
But I feel like that's the ending for this series. Like, if that didn't end in this book, I would be kind of annoyed going forward that like Bryce and Hunt were over, but the Asteri wasn't over. I feel like there would be no good ending for this book if the Asteri wasn't defeated.
True.
Like, no good ending for Bryce and Hunt.
But what I'm saying is like Crescent City is still going forward. We know that there will be more Crescent City books, but how the heck could they compare to the arcs of these three books? Like, how is the conflict going to top the Asteri? Like, how?
I agree. That's what I've been like thinking about that. Like I don't know if you guys agree, but I felt very happy with how it ended. I felt like this is great. I have no idea what she could do next. Like there were no hints. I mean, maybe a couple, like Therian, which I don't care. I don't care about that. I was like, I don't care about you, what you're trying to do with her. Okay. I mean, Lydia, Hypaxia, that's interesting. I feel like there could be something there, but
like Hypaxia, I definitely want to know more about, especially because she's a necromancer. I just think that's really cool, but I don't like know if she could like hold her own book.
The only thing I can think of is like the Viper Queen and the River Queen and the Ocean Queen, whatever the hell her name is.
I really wanted the Viper Queen to die.
Maybe like something with them in Crescent City, like with trying to rebuild the political system. Because like
I was gonna say, people are not gonna just like let Bryce do what she wants to do.
Oh
no, for sure.
And I don't think she wants to. It sounds like she's like, I want to take a step back. I saved everybody.
But then she's like, the Fae royals are over.
Yeah.
The Fae nobility are not going to have that. They're not going to be okay with that. They do not want the humans to like intermingle with them. No way. That's not going to just fly with them.
That's
I feel like this is very much a Sarah J. Maas MO thing to just like leave certain things just open ended because she can walk into this world again and create something. Yeah, like just like something that maybe was mentioned or maybe not that can come up. You know,
this
out of
book
nowhere.
Takes place over a week.
I read that and I was like, no, it didn't.
It takes place over 1 week. And
I think someone counted and it's 10 days.
3 queens.
What?
In a week.
What?
I cannot.
So that also makes sense why there wasn't a lot of like romantic development.
Exactly. A lot of character development. We had character development. And I saw something on TikTok say that that's why she made Ethan fuck up at everything, because she didn't want all of the characters to be perfect, because it's like not a lot of development since the last book. So she just made him fuck up to make it so that like not everyone in the book was perfect and like made good decisions. So she just had him like screwing up. Which I guess makes sense.
I like that he's prime now.
I like he's prime too.
Have to like learn. He has a lot of learning to do in terms of what the heck that means for for him and for Lunathian and for Valbara, because he's the prime of all Valbara.
Sigrid never wanted to be the prime.
Right.
Like, she never said that she wanted to do this. And he was just like, you are going to be the prime.
Yeah.
And he's like,
It was obvious from the beginning it was going to be Ethan. So that's why like his plot was a little more annoying than normal, because I'm like, we know this is leading to Ethan being prime. Running in circles.
I was like, dude, stand up for yourself. He was like, I'm going to make the Reaper that I killed prime. Instead of saying I would make a better prime than she would.
Like, gosh, that was so annoying.
That whole plot line, I was like, what are we doing?
I just wanted him to be standing up there and being like, Sabine sucks. The old guy is going to die soon. And this Reaper is the only other option. I should be prime.
And he certainly did die soon. My God. That was quick.
That was shocking. I wasn't.
I wasn't really prepared.
Well, it showed that Sabine actually was like a villain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for her to die since like book one. Like, come on.
I'm really glad that Bryce didn't kill her. I was a little worried about that like Bryce would kill Sabine, and I don't think that Bryce could handle that. That I feel like she would feel really bad about it.
And I don't think it would have made sense for like the grand scheme of things. I think it kind of had to play out the way that it did. Mm-hmm. Amongst the wolves. It had to be like
like a wolf decision, like a political decision.
Yes.
But I also want like justice would be great, because like goddamn, Ethan really just went to town on her and then kept screwing up over and over and over and over again for her, and I feel really bad.
She got pulled out of the mystic tub, then killed, was sent to the Viper Queen, then killed, then turned into a Reaper.
That was crazy. That was a lot.
All in a week. Poor girl.
But she's still on the loose. She's still running around as
she is.
She's still alive.
I don't like that storyline. Honestly, Therian was more annoying than Ethan. Anytime he did something, I'm like, here we go. Therian, you're Therian again.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he got married.
I was like, are they going to try to build that romance? Because she ran away.
I like that they got married and that she was able to run away from him.
Right.
Yeah, smart girl.
She was the one that was like, thank you for saving me. Goodbye. I don't like you. I want this other guy.
Literally, like, his chapters were perfectly placed just to annoy the fuck out of me.
I agree.
When me and Jess were on FaceTime, like, she was like 4 chapters ahead of me, right? So we were reading and she'd go, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Or I look over and she's sobbing her eyes out. I'm like, oh my fucking God, like, what chapter is this? Like, because we were reading the end of the book. So every time when all the major stuff was happening, they would go to Therian and what he's doing. And I'm like, I literally could care less. Like, you could literally like fuck off and I would not care. Like,
you know what's sad about that too is that in book 1, like Therian made cameos and I was like, ooh, I like him. Like,
it was so exciting.
Fun. And like then in books 2 and 3, I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this character arc?
His one job at the end was to bring the antidote, and he broke all of them.
Yes, he did help save some people. Okay.
Yes, he did save some people. I liked that. But his one job that Bryce asked him to do was bring the antidote, and he broke all of the vials.
It was kind of out of his control, but yeah. I feel like Therian and Ethan are just like they're kind of messes of the series. They
felt like really like annoying little brothers.
Because they were.
I'm okay with Ethan, though.
They're just like felt young and they like kept screwing up and they're annoying.
I feel bad for Ethan
because I kind of love them.
But this is the first time for Ethan that like he was trying to do something good. Like the first time he was like, all right, let's do it. And
I felt really bad for him.
And he kept like trying to make it better and it just wasn't making it better. Like Therian has fucked up so many times. So I'm like,
I thought he was gonna die and I was happy. But then he came back and I was like, what are you doing? Like, I thought you were gonna die. I mean, it just made sense for his arc to like, you know, I thought that's real. Like,
plus, if any of the main characters were gonna die, I would have been okay with Therian dying.
Also, like, I could have seen Sarah have him do like some big ultimate sacrifice to like redeem his character, and then
that's
he's out.
Like, I could see that.
But he did save Lydia.
He did. I really
appreciate he lived.
He did.
Okay, but that was because Rune was like, get in the water and go get Rune was literally like,
it was mostly Rune, but he helped.
He did help.
My problem, that one of the biggest problems that I had with Ethan was that he kept comparing things to Sunball. I was like,
all he knows. He's just a bro.
Like, he's a jock.
He very much just felt like a frat bro.
He's just a college little kid, and I think that's why I'm like, okay, I give you more grace. Like, okay,
Me too.
He is a college kid.
Me too.
Which is why he felt like a little brother. But I was like, dude, you haven't played Sunball in years.
But he wanted to play. But he actually like wanted to play by the end of the book, and I thought that was fine.
I thought that was
Yeah.
I would love like a little bonus chapter of like Ethan and Hunt playing Sunball together because like
It's
Hunt
like
is a
the
big
Twilight
Sunball fan.
baseball scene, but like
Yes. That's what we need. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's really
that's
good.
what I want. Like them bonding. That would be
Right.
outside of the
that's so
dungeon. I
sweet.
will say chapter 4 is one of my favorites, and I know it's like super early on because like Rune is like, do you want to hear a joke? And they're all like delusional. And he tells this joke and they all just start crying and laughing like snot and everything. Like it was just so like it made me laugh out loud because I was like, this is like
the male bonding.
That's what we did.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
Mhm.
What would y'all say is like one of your favorite scenes besides like the epic end battle? For me, like that whole scene with like Lydia helping them escape. Like when I tell y'all I was on the edge of my seat, like
Mhm.
that scene was one of the best parts of the book. Like so good.
My
I think
sister was texting me that she was like, Lydia died. How did Lydia just die? And I was like, like, because you legitimately think like there's no way she's gonna get out of it. She is going to die.
Which is why I
knew
felt
she
like the stakes were high. She was so
She
close
died.
to dying.
She did die, like, and then she was brought back. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I knew she wasn't gonna die though, so I was
She
like,
would
she's
not
fine.
do that.
I don't know, because she said Rune went through
I
it, and I was
feel
like,
Dead.
a little
Yeah.
bit. I definitely.
Honestly, I didn't even think the
She was on the
torture
list.
was all that bad. I mean, I thought it was not that bad, like in my opinion. The torture. I don't know. I just really thought they were gonna go through it more, and I was like,
Mhm.
I mean, they
no,
had
I
their
was
wings
sad
cut
for
off
them.
again.
I don't know. I
Literally
just,
called like the what is that called? Like the literal death or something that they call that? Getting their
Living
wings
death?
cut off. Living death, yeah. Living
that
death.
with the
And their
wings?
wings cut off.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I know. I don't know.
I mean, there were some rough parts, and when they were like laying in their own excrement, like
yeah.
I do
that
think
was
a lot of the like physical torture was off page because I don't think we saw
yeah, it
them like
was.
beating them up.
Mhm.
Because didn't they say at one point like his literal intestines were hanging out of his body?
Yes.
For
Yeah, they did.
yeah.
Mhm.
So,
They did.
please.
They did. Yes.
Wow, Sarah went there with the horror movie vibes,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Just off page.
just off page. Yeah,
Which
Yeah.
thank you.
But I don't
I'm
think
not complaining about it. I'm just saying, like, I was really
Yeah.
trying to emotionally prepare myself,
yeah.
and I was okay.
you were okay. Yeah.
that's fair.
I
Mhm.
was, yeah, I was okay. Which is good because Rune. That's all I care about, to be honest.
I
Right.
felt like there were some things at the end about the Ravencroft sister from the Wolf Pack that they were like hinting at possible future things with her.
Is she the one that smelled different?
Yeah.
She's the one
Yes.
that like
Harry,
she
I think is her
like,
name.
fermented
Yes.
or
She
something.
was like an
like,
Omega
Yes.
or whatever. She was like the lowest of the
Yeah.
Mhm.
pack.
He kept on saying her scent.
Yeah,
Mhm.
people thought that
I'm like,
she might
okay.
be his mate.
Yeah, that's
her
what I
like
was.
strawberry cinnamon scent.
But I
Mhm.
was
Mentioning that.
they were talking about like the Prime mentioned her specifically when he was giving his like speech about like how they were in the past and how like some of them were like more creative types instead of like more warrior types, and he like looked at Perry. I thought that was interesting.
Well, didn't they say they like bred the wolves to be what they are? So
Yeah.
this
And
year
like
he did.
Perry is like not at all what they were trying to breed them to be.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
she could be a future important character. And she was the one in book 1 that went with Ethan to save the humans.
Yes.
In Asphodel Meadows, she was the one that went with him and like turned her back. And then when Ethan got attacked in
Mhm.
book 2, she was the one that brought him to Bryce's house. So
Yeah.
future romantic situation for Ethan.
And I still think there's more to be learned about just the angels in general.
Yeah.
Because like they
Yeah.
were bred too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
While we learned about Hunt's lineage specifically, I still think there's a lot more about the angels that we don't know.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because I feel like that's the only like not explained like the phase shifters, we know what world they come from. Like Rune, how he looks like Reese, like we know kind of like where just the Fae come from. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Obviously humans are just living and existing, but like where the fuck did these angels come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not explained at all.
And they breed them to have the white wings, and like the wings that are described in the Akatar series are all like dark and black colored. So.
Yeah, and like they don't have feathers. Like Hunt has
wings. Yeah.
Hunt has feathers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even Baxian, he has feathers on his, so
I think,
and he's a shifter too, which is really interesting.
I think he does.
Who?
I think Baxian has black wings.
He does.
With feathers, right?
Yeah, with feathers, whereas like most of them have white, I think.
Yeah, in order to be part of the like main angel fighter group, you had to have perfect white wings.
Oh, okay.
How can Baxian shift?
He's his father was an angel and his mother was a shifter, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Like his wings shift too? That seems weird.
Yeah, because I think when he shifts, he just the wings go away.
And he's a hellhound too, not like a wolf, which I find really interesting.
Right.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah.
Like a type of dog, I guess. Like I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I was just like picturing like Cerberus, but like with one head instead of three heads.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of how except I picture like Cerberus with one head and like wings. Like little wings.
Exactly.
Little wings.
Yeah, that's how I was picturing it. Have you seen the like TikTok trend when they're like, this is what the author probably pictured while they were writing it, and then like this is what I actually pictured while I was reading it? That's how I felt when they were talking about Baxian, when it was like people talked about how in the book he's more described as being this like big giant like dog kind of thing, and I'm like thinking like a little puppy with wings. Little black dog that's just got like little wings on it.
I was laughing my butt off during the parts where that damn worm showed up, because I still imagine the Alaskan bullworm from SpongeBob.
That's the only like picture I have of like a worm that big. So like that's what I thought of. Like I don't with teeth.
The worm.
Oh my gosh, I have never thought of that. That is hilarious.
Really? Oh, that's
no, I just didn't know how to visualize. That is hilarious. Like, I love that.
And the fact that thing showed up in this book, I was like, I'm done.
I love that Bryce was able to like make it show up and like trick Nesta and Azrael. I thought that was really clever of her.
Damn, that was
they were tricking each other the whole time.
She was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool to see Nesta and Bryce go toe to toe. That was
They're both so prickly. I love it.
I know people didn't really love those parts with the Akatar, but I did.
I thought they were
I liked it. I thought it made sense. And
we knew that we could trust them, but like Bryce didn't know.
Didn't exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
And they didn't know they could trust Bryce. Like there's just a stranger that's showing up, and like Reese is like a protective dad now. He's got to like make sure that everything's safe. So.
Oh, I didn't get to say one of my favorite scenes, and this just reminded me. I love the end with when they come back for her parents, and I loved all of that. Like her connecting with Nesta, I loved it. And like Randall and Reese, like having their dad moments. I thought that was very sweet and like, I don't know, unexpected. And she was like yelling at Bryce, like, I heard this is how you were treating them, and we need to talk about this. I don't know. I loved it.
Ember is such a mom.
Yeah.
Mom.
I love that they were, that was brought back into the story, because like we said earlier, like because Bryce left on bad terms, she had to leave on bad terms, unfortunately. And so I'm glad how like that came back, and she was just like, hey Nesta, by the way, I need the mask, but here's my parents for collateral.
But she left Cooper.
I know, she did leave Cooper.
I was like, how dare you? What the heck, man? Poor kid.
But then she would have, the problem is if she had brought Cooper, she wouldn't have been able to like hide what she was doing.
Yeah, I got what she explained it.
It makes sense. Like even me, I was like, in my head, I'm like, why the fuck is she bringing Ember? Like, if she doesn't do anything, like, what is she doing?
Like Randall, it makes sense. At least he has a background, but
exactly. But then when she opened the portal and Nesta was there and she pushed them out, I was like, oh, I get it. Smart girl. Got it. Okay.
And
Yeah.
Cooper, like, to get there to the portal, they have to go to like super cold, freezing place, and like, you don't want to bring a little boy there.
Yeah.
So.
One of my favorite
Okay.
scenes, it's such a small scene, but like because I love Rune and Lydia so much, it's actually like two. It's in the same like thing. When they were escaping and they're all in like the Jeep or whatever, the car, and Rune hears Declan and Flynn, and he just sobs. Like,
I love
breaks down.
So good.
He literally thought he would never hear them again. Like he was,
that got me.
That was like,
yeah,
oh my God, so
too.
sad. But also at the same time, so he's like happy that he can hear his friends. But also when they get out, she's like, you're going to carry Rune to the ship and get on the ship. And she shifts, which in my head, I'm like, holy shit, she's a deer. But also at the same time, like she just nuzzles his neck. And it's like, and dips. Like, she's like, that's it.
So cute.
Like, I don't need you don't have to tell me you forgive me. I don't have to say I'm sorry. Like, you already know, but this is I'm sorry. Like, this is an action. This is what I can do. And she was like totally fine with like dying at that point. She was like, he's safe and I've done my job. And that for me, like, she was dead set on that. And
at that point, you don't know that she has sons. So you know that she is literally willing to sacrifice herself and not see her sons ever again. Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's what got me. Yeah. So that's why when he got on the ship, I was like, I don't know how he's gonna save her. Like they're after her. Like I don't know what they're gonna do. And then he's like, Therian, get in the water, go get her. I was like, okay, you're a little useful.
But at least Therian did not like question it at all. He was
he was just like,
I'm on it. Okay, let's do it. In the water.
Yeah, that scene is just so badass. Like that was so incredible. Like
people talk about, one thing I love is like all of, obviously Sarah J. Maas's female characters, like they're very empowering, they're very independent, they all have like their things. And like while Bryce is like, I guess you consider her like the main character of the Crescent City series, because like you really follow her through all the books, and she develops as a character, right? Like she's not in the beginning of the book, she doesn't think the way Danica does and like trying to hide all these things. Like she would have never done that. And you see like here she's kind of making her own decisions and she's like strategizing a little bit. But like for me, Lydia is like what Bryce could be in like 5 to 6 years. And like give her more time. And like the way, I think that's why I love Lydia so much, is because she's already like badass and established. She's already been through everything. And you can tell that and you can tell she's just willing to sacrifice for like truly things that matter, like Rune, like getting him out. Like if Hunt and Baxian were just there, I feel like she wouldn't have done the same thing. But because Rune was there, she knew she had to get them all out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really love her character, like how selfless she is.
That's a good point, because I was really frustrated, honestly, by Bryce, and several times in this book. And then I was even more disappointed at how she treated Hunt at times. And and we see Lydia and how she treats Rune. And there's such a big, it's so different, right? And so I was trying to figure out, like, why do I feel this way? And you just made a really good point as to Lydia and how she's had time to develop into this person that she is. Obviously, Bryce is still developing into that. But I don't know. That's her mate.
We talked about that, of how like Hunt has been there, done that. Like he's been through 2 wars and failed twice. So like he doesn't want to do it again, which is why it's such a conflict. But Bryce is still like a baby compared to some of these people. Like she is very, I wouldn't say innocent or naive, but she's so like, I don't even want to say simple-minded. It's just she has like narrow-minded thinking. She's like, this is my plan and I'm going to go. And she's not really thinking of like everyone else and how they would play into it. She just thinks because Hunt is my mate, he's going to follow me. Yeah. That's not always like in a relationship. You can't always just blindly do that. Sometimes you do ask questions and you have to think about their other person's point of view and what they've gone through and all this stuff like that. So I felt like it just really showed how not mature Bryce is in that way, how she still has some things to grow into. And we did see like her becoming more strategic and just becoming more badass in her own way, but she's not like at Lydia level, like
I agree.
She's like 24, 25 and everyone else
very
like,
young.
She's years old. She really is very immature.
She is.
Yeah.
Also,
it does make sense. I was just gonna say it does make sense of why like I feel more pulled towards Lydia just because I personally like those characters like more so in my fantasy or romances or whatever. But it doesn't mean I don't appreciate Bryce and like how far she's come as a character.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hunt blindly followed Shahar.
Yes.
When he had that rebellion, he was like, I love you. I'm going to listen to whatever you say. These are your decisions. He blindly followed her. And since that failed so horribly, I feel like that's where a lot of the conflict between him and Bryce comes in, where Bryce is like, I have this idea, it's going to work. And Hunt doesn't want to blindly follow her anymore. He's like, I've been through this. I've seen the outcome. It's not going to work out. And she's like, well, why? Like, we still have to do this. Like, believe that it'll work out. And he's like, I've been here. It's not going to work out.
And Hunt,
a lot of negativity comes from the fact that he's been here before. He knows this. And she's like, why don't you want to do this? But she doesn't understand the trauma that he's been through.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think something that I noticed was Lydia was a lot more vulnerable. And I miss that a little bit with Bryce. Like, I felt like we did have those vulnerable moments with her in the first book. And I understand we have a lot going on. Maybe we didn't have time for that. But I think that would have just helped me a little bit, just to have some more vulnerable moments with Bryce. And, you know, Lydia has that nice balance.
Yeah.
So I think I would have liked to see just a little bit more vulnerability with her and Hunt. And we did near the end, you know, we did get some moments, but their reunion wasn't my, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite.
Somebody else said that in the comments too, is that like, you know, after like Bryce almost like dies in deep space and Hunt gets her and then like, you know, like they reunite. It's like Bryce is Bryce though. Like that's her personality that like, oh, hey, I'm back.
And I feel like I've seen Sarah J. Maas talk about that in interviews where that was her goal, to write a party girl who like was just casual like that. She was just not anything special, badass, planning. She was just kind of just there. She was just a girl. Have this. She was born with this. She didn't choose this at all. She didn't want to actually do any of this.
Yeah, that's
the actual
true.
chosen one that might not be the best chosen one.
Yeah.
Well, this is what we got, so let's go.
Yeah, but I think in some ways, like it then it makes her character arc like all the more meaningful when at the end, like, come on, what the fuck? She made a second black hole to swallow the black hole that like took me like what are we doing, Bryce? Holy shit. Like,
and she was so ready to sacrifice herself though.
She was so ready to die.
Yeah, she was ready to die.
But also too, it was one of those things that Hunt was gonna go into that black hole, not really thinking all the way through of how he was gonna get back. He was okay with going with Bryce. He was like, I'm not staying here without like my love. Like I'm going.
Yeah. I don't need to exist without her. Yeah. And I feel like that was like a romantic moment too.
That was crazy. That was an insane scene. Oh my god.
That was.
I'm still reeling from like what even happened.
It's so funny because like Rachel, you just finished it last night, and like most of us sat on it for like a week or so, like at least 5 days, right? And it's so crazy to hear you just say it was so wild, because that's all I could say the next day. Like I didn't have the words. Like I was just like, what is all this?
No thoughts. I literally
into the cave of princes. I thought that was and they do their like and they have their like showdown with the King of Avalon and her father.
That was a full circle.
Rune got his revenge on him.
Yeah, that was a full circle moment for Rune specifically to like really. I mean, obviously we've heard about what he's done to Rune in the past, so it was great to like see him really be like.
The fact that he got his tattoos to cover up the scars.
Yeah. I was happy he got to do that. I was kind of nervous that Bryce was going to be the one to do it, and I was like, I really want Rune to be able to do that, and he did, and I love that scene. That's also a really good scene.
That was a really, and I thought it was so cool, like Avalon in general, and like how that plays into the world, and like why was it that like the land withered, and like. And then also what do the mists mean, and like, you know, the caves, and like all of that was like, that was just such a cool part of the book. For sure. But yeah, I literally wrote in my book at the chapter where it says like they're hurtling through deep space, I wrote, my brain is broken.
I was having an Interstellar moment. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Interstellar. where she's just like at one point they're just like tumbling through space. I think it was Interstellar. It was another space movie where she's just tumbling. And that's all I see all of these people like into this, like you can't stop. There is no like air, there's no nothing to pull you back. You can't stop yourself. You just continuously go in that same line. And that's all I kept thinking of. I was like, poor Bryce, she's just tumbling with, what is it?
Tumbling with Rigelus.
What does the bright hand mean? The bright hand is what they kept calling Rigelus, and every time I was like, is that an important, like, what does that title mean?
Is that his power?
I don't know, but every time they say Rigelus, they say the bright hand of the Asteri, and I just never understood what that meant.
Is that the one that like doles out everything? Because I feel like
he was like the leader.
He's like the leader of the Asteri, so maybe that's why. And I still don't understand. Like they never explained why he's the Autumn King, and then when he died, like nobody even thought to call Bryce the Autumn Queen. Like she was just like, "Oh, I'm the fake Queen of Valvara now," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" Well, then why was his title this? And
maybe it was just because he had red hair. So
yeah, but she has red hair. Like nobody, and then he has a name, and I wonder if that name has any significance. I don't know.
What is his name?
It's like Einar or something. They used it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know how to pronounce that.
Yes. I liked Bryce standing with her mom and her mom being like, he's dead, right? Like that was like a good moment for her too.
Yeah.
Like a healing moment for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a lot of cool moments in this book for sure. A lot of cool historical moments.
It felt like a lot of satisfying endings.
Yes. I was very happy with it. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Same.
And I really like that. You know, she surprised me. I liked it. I was very happy.
I hope no one was spoiled for anything because like I read on my Kindle. I didn't do the page flipping through and try to figure out what page number. So I was very proud of myself that nothing was spoiled for me. Like I didn't spoil myself for anything.
Because like now that I'm thinking about this is the first Sarah J. Maas book where like I truly had no idea what was going to happen because like when I'm thinking about like when I read Throne of Glass, I knew that the conflict was going to end in Kingdom of Ash, right? Like in ACOTAR, I knew that war was going to be over in ACOWAR, for instance. Like I knew kind of like benchmarks, but like with this book going into it, I truly was like, who knows what the fuck Sarah is going to do? Like, like what is going to happen, right? And I thought that was like so cool to just go into one of her books and just not know.
Yep.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes. So Zay, you're on book 2 of Throne of Glass now?
I started book 3. And I made it halfway through, but I'm just gonna have to go back and like read it. That was like in December. And I feel like it's been too long. So I've sang book 2, but I've read like half of book 3.
Okay. And then Jess, you're on 2.
I finished 2 and then I realized I have to go read Assassin's Blade first before Air of Fire because I thought it was after.
You could do either, but I prefer reading Assassin's Blade before Air of Fire just because in Air of Fire, like the series changes so much that it's kind of like maybe you should read that before things change.
I'm going off of Sarah J. Maas's official website.
Is that what she said, to read it after Crown of Midnight?
Yeah. Okay. But I kept hearing after, so
I think honestly, as long as you read it before Queen of Shadows, it has to be before Queen of Shadows. Like that is the absolute like bottom line. However, I think that because of like where Selena is and like where the world is, it makes the most sense to read it before Air of Fire. As long as you do that, like you'll get like the best reading experience. Me personally, I really loved reading the series in chronological order, which would be reading Assassin's Blade first, but that's just like me and my brain, and I just really wanted to read it that way. But you have your choice.
I just started book 2. So that's where I'm at.
Ooh, I'm gonna keep messaging y'all like, how's it going?
Well, do you guys recommend the tandem read?
Yes,
I've never done it. But I'm sure that it's fun.
I did, Tori. You did that, right?
Yeah. No, I would recommend. Only because I mean, it depends on how you feel about the characters, and like your first read through, you're gonna just want to like know what happens. But I think. Even if I did a reread, which I do want to do at some point, I think I still would tandem read, just only because they actually take place at the same time.
Yeah.
So the way that those chapters are, you're reading things in timeline order between two books. because then you'd have to read one book and then start over time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't know. I feel like it'd be kind of redundant. Like you just want to know what happens.
Right.
After
That makes
Empire
sense.
of Storms.
Time I read it, I'm going to do the tandem read. I've never done the tandem read, but like Tori said, I think it does make sense with like chronologically, like you might as well read the 2 books at the same time because of, you know, what's going on with different characters. But yeah.
Like I said, there's so many guides out there, and there's one that I read where I really, just the way that Empire of Storms ends.
Yeah.
It'd be really hard to go into Tower of Dawn. I don't know. I would just, it would just be like a trugging along in that book. So just if they happen at the same time, why not? Why not tandem read them?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'll do. I'll tandem. Are you doing that, Jess?
I have no idea. That seems intimidating, reading 2 books at once.
I know.
My brain, I don't know if my brain can handle that.
Like reading a like 1,200 page book at once.
Yeah, I don't know if I can actually.
You read Manacled, you got it.
Manacled was its own thing.
Yeah, Manacled was an experience.
Yeah, I think with the tandem read, you just have to accept, like, take your time with it.
Yeah.
But it's basically like one very massive, like this book where like we're in a million different POVs. It's the same idea with the tandem read. It's the, you know, we've just got like 2 very different settings and POVs going on, but they're happening at the same time. So you know.
Wow. I'm very intimidated, but
I'll decide.
We'll see.
I just have to like have 2 huge books next to me, and I feel like I'm just gonna be like
I know.
Going back and forth.
Yeah.
I know. Maybe have one on Kindle and then one physical and try to do it like that.
I mean, I personally had no problem not doing the tandem read my first read through. But I also like both times that I read the series, I also didn't have like a strong opinion. Like I feel like a lot of people like hate Kale. And like
I love him.
I have never
Me too.
Like
I don't understand.
Because I love his, like I'm cool with his character. Like I didn't mind not doing the tandem read and just like separately. Okay, we've got Empire of Storms, and then we go to Tower of Dawn, and then we go into Kingdom of Ash, right? But some people like hate Kale so much that they just skip Tower of Dawn, and I'm like, how?
Yeah, a lot of people skip that book.
I don't like Kale, right? Well, in Kingdom of Ash, I like him. Like, I like all the characters by the end of the book, but he's like one of my least favorite, but I would never skip a book just because I don't like a character. Like, I would, even if I didn't do the tandem read, I'd still read Tower of Dawn because, like, there's a lot of stuff in that book that happens that leads up to Kingdom of Ash. So, well, I didn't like Kale, and I'm one of those Kale haters. I don't understand why people just.
I like Kale.
Me too. I don't understand. Well, I understand after Air of Fire,
especially after book 2. I'm just like,
I don't get it.
I mean, people not like him.
So
like, at what point do you start not liking him, or did you just?
Because
not
a lot of people like find him boring, and I remember like. I guess there's stuff going on with him in like Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows specifically that people like don't like him as much anymore. But I've never had any problems with him. I think that just like
he seems okay.
I mean, the characters of that series, they're all very like young and like
that's what I'm thinking. And
I honestly, on a reread, I wonder how my opinion would change of him. Like, I feel like it would change because I feel like I'd have like a better appreciation.
I liked him more. I liked him even more upon reread. Like, because the first time I read Tower of Dawn, I gave that book 4 stars. Upon reread, I gave it 5 stars. But I also think that like the audiobooks brought the whole series to life for me. Like the first time I read that series, it was just physically.
It's so good on audio.
I have those audiobooks. The audiobooks are so good.
Yeah.
It's the same narrator, Elizabeth Evans. She's great.
She's great,
But yeah, I get why people may not like be obsessed with him, but I've always really liked his character, so I don't get it. I don't know.
Me either. I'm like halfway through Heir of Fire, and I was like, I don't get it. So Victoria, you haven't read it either? I thought you have read it. No. Okay.
I had only read book 1, and I think apparently I read book 2. It's marked on Goodreads that I read it. It was about 10 years ago when I read it.
What's up with the second book? We keep forgetting it because I forgot.
I don't know, but it was about 10 years ago that I read it because I was in high school and my brother was reading it, and he came into my room and I said, "Read this book because I want to talk to you about it." And I said, "Okay."
Okay.
So the next morning I read it, and I had read it, and he came in and talked to me about it, but I don't remember anything about it. Literally no. I rereading Throne of Glass, like the first book. Nothing. The only thing I knew was that she was an assassin. That was the only thing that I remembered. I forgot every other aspect of this book. It was like reading it for the first time. I was shocked. I mean, 10 years is a long time. So
it
is
a
very long time.
And you've read a lot of books.
I've read a lot of books,
so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely did not remember a single thing about it.
Well, and Jess, it made me so happy when I saw that you gave Crown of Midnight 5 stars. I'm like, ooh, she's gonna love this series. I'm so excited.
I was like,
Crown of Midnight 5 stars. That makes me excited.
Gonna do like 4.5. But I was like, it was so much better than Throne of Glass. So, and I gave Throne of Glass 4 stars. So I was like,
I gave Throne of Glass 4 stars. It was good.
Yeah,
it felt a little YA, but I was prepared for that.
Yeah, it was the second half of the second book that really
that's good.
Picked it up. Yeah,
Heir of Fire is literally just like one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's good. I'm
intrigued to re-rank the whole Sarah J. Maas after I finish Throne of Glass to see which ones I like.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing a ranking of all of her books. And like, I don't know how I'm going to do it because yes, I recently reread all of her books leading up to, this, but like, damn.
What's going to be the number, the last one, the like on the bottom?
Well, I mean, like.
That's what I'm intrigued by.
It has to be the Assassin's Blade. Frost and Starlight. Well, I actually enjoyed Frost and Starlight more than the Assassin's Blade, but the only reason why I gave Assassin's Blade a slightly lower rating was because, like, with that bind up, like, some of the novellas are really good and some of them are slow. Yeah. But they're still important to read, like, about Celaena's history.
Well, if you liked Assassin's Blade less than Frost and Starlight, I'm worried because I did not like Frost and Starlight.
I think for me, I went into Frost and Starlight thinking it would be the worst thing ever. And then when I read it, I was like, oh, this is cute.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Like, I was just here for the vibes. Like, just vibes. Nothing else. Vibes.
Yeah. Rachel, can you say what your favorite Sarah J. Maas couple is?
I flip-flopped when I reread Throne of Glass. Because, Rowan is my book husband, and he always will be my book husband. But for a while, like, I was like, oh yeah, like Aelin and Rowan then are like my top favorite Sarah J. Maas couple. But upon the reread, like, I think my top favorite Sarah J. Maas couple will always be Elide and Lorcan.
Yeah, I always forget about them.
Yeah, because you won't meet them for a while. Yeah. Those of you that are like working on the series, you won't meet them for a while. But
I hear them a lot, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah. You hear those names a little bit, but it's not until later you actually like.
I've heard people say that they love that couple.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about so many characters from Throne of Glass, and reading the first Throne of Glass book, I was like, none of the characters are mentioned except for Kale. I was like, what? Where are these exciting characters that people
gotta wait? You gotta wait.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
The only name that I recognized when reading Throne of Glass was Kale.
Yeah, me too. Well, and Dorian, I've heard Dorian too.
Oh, and Dorian.
Oh, my baby Dorian.
Oh, I love him. We like him, right? Okay, because I love him. I love him.
We love Dorian. Yeah.
Dorian's my baby. Like, he's like one of those, I will just like protect him at all costs type thing. I love him.
Yes. But that's what's so great about that series is that, like, as she's introducing new characters, like, they're just amazing characters.
Yeah.
Like, some of my favorite characters don't really get introduced until, like, Queen of Shadows and later. So, like, you've got something to look forward to.
Four. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to have to buy paperbacks to read physically while listening to the audiobook.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
That's what I would recommend.
I don't want to touch my card covers, and I don't want to buy the ebooks.
Oh yeah, I like the new paperback covers.
They're pretty. The library, one of my libraries, Victoria, has a bind up of the ebooks that you can download, like the bind up of all of them.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
So I don't know if your library has it, but mine does.
That's a great idea.
I think mine does too.
Thank you.
I might like crash my Kindle downloading to it, but
I didn't even think about that. Downloading the ebooks from the library.
Like
I never download from the library. I only ever get audiobooks from.
That's like almost. I want to say like 6,000 pages.
I was about to say that's like 8,000 pages or something like.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay.
Wow, that's smart.
For that. Thank you. That's
I've just been buying the Kindle because I already had the audiobooks, so I was like, well, I'll just buy.
I have the audiobooks from the library, and then I bought the last few audiobooks during the Audible sale because they're not at the library for some reason.
because they're Audible exclusives. That's why like all of Crescent
Oh.
City is only an Audible because they're Audible exclusives.
That's right.
Okay. But the first like 4 books are available at the library on audio.
Yeah, those aren't Audible exclusives, which is weird
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And then graphic audio they're going to be coming out with Crescent City and the Throne of Glass series as well.
Yeah, I just looked up the graphic audio for Throne of Glass, and they haven't said any. Like, it doesn't have a release date on their website.
Oh.
Yeah, the last I heard was just like it was in development.
Do you listen to the graphic audios, Rachel?
I did for ACOTAR up to, because I was doing a reread of ACOTAR in 2022. So I would listen to the graphic audios up to like part 2 of Wings and Ruin, and then I had to switch back to the regular.
Okay. I tried to do the graphic audios. There's so much going on. My brain cannot handle it.
For me, yeah, like it just depends. Like I feel like I gotta really slow it down. Like unfortunately, I can't listen to those at like 3 times speed.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Otherwise, like whoa, that is like overstimulation. Like
I feel like that's what I was having. I was getting so overstimulated by so many things happening and like the voices, and I was like, I can't handle it.
Well, the music is so loud in them.
Yeah,
that's really tough.
Sometimes the balance of like the background sounds and the music with the dialogue, like sometimes the balance is off. But I cannot listen to those faster than like 1.5 times speed, unfortunately. But it's also like that's part of the experience is the sounds and the music and stuff. But I, for the most part, enjoyed the graphic audios for the ACOTAR series because I thought that it was like well cast. But also the regular audiobooks are well done.
Yeah, that's the ones that I did. I just listened to the regular audiobooks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that everything? Like, do we have anything else that we want to talk about with this book?
Last minute thoughts.
Like I finished it last night, like I said. So like I'm still at the stage where like my brain is mush.
Yeah.
But
I would love to hear everyone's thoughts, like once they read Throne of Glass. Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If they like, we can really dive into like.
I feel like if you've read all of her books and then read this book, like I personally feel like it made the reading experience all the better for me personally, like because I could make those connections and like the vlog that I made for this book, like I was going into it, like into like a bunch of different stuff with Throne of Glass. Like I clearly say, if you haven't read Throne of Glass, like skip to this timestamp because like I got things to talk about, like but which is just really, it makes for a really exciting reading experience.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, y'all got to keep us posted. Those of you that are reading Throne of Glass for the first time.
I'm on the library's timeline. Everything's on hold.
You said you finished Crown of Midnight or you're reading Crown of Midnight?
No, I just started Crown of Midnight. I'm on like chapter 2. Yeah. I finally got the audiobook from the library. It has been on hold for ages.
Gotcha. Yep. Everybody's
the third one has like 4 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, this was a fun time. Thank you all so much for joining us in the comments. My brain is broken, but and I'm gonna be in a reading slump, and this sucks. So
that's what I did. I reread like a contemporary book that I really love
because that's a good idea.
I don't know what to read after this because I feel like nothing's really going to compare. So I need just like something I know I love.
I read a contemporary romantic suspense, so something like so different that I was just like nothing to compare.
I'm currently reading like a manga volume, just something. So that's what I need to do. Though is I might reread like a contemporary romance. Or something. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But
because I was like, I could feel myself getting slumpy. I'm like, that was like so epic and so good. Like I need to pull myself out of it before like I just stop reading.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
All right, and thanks, Jess, for putting this read along together.
Thank you for joining.
Fun time. Yay.
I wasn't gonna reread them in time. If we didn't, the books were right.
Right.
Yeah, this is fun.
All right. Well, we will see all of y'all later. Thanks for joining us and have a good night. Bye.